Now, I did a piece recently on Richard Dawkins, in which I said that although I don't practice any religion myself, and I share a number of his views, I don't admire the man because I think he's a lousy ambassador for science. And I gave a number of reasons for this, perhaps the most important, which was that he lacks uncertainty, which I think is an important attribute in a good scientist. Now, this didn't generate the intelligent discussion that I rather hoped that it might, but there was one guy who did ask a good question. It was about the fourth dimension, because I'd said that we are confined in 3 dimensions, but how can we be sure that there isn't intelligent life living in 4 dimensions, because including our 3? Because if there were, this being would have great power over us. And his question was, how did I arrive at that conclusion that such a being would have great power over us? Right, now when I'm trying to get my head around these sort of weird things, I find it helpful to start off with a small number of dimensions and sort of work up from there. So I thought what I'd do is I'd do a tour of universes with different numbers of dimensions. And I'd take a mathematician along with me to do the maths, because my maths is a bit basic. Now this tour is going to take the form of what the physicists call a thought experiment. Now a thought experiment is something that goes on in your imagination. So there's no Bunsen burners, there's no hadron colliders, just your brain, your imagination, and your logic. And this has a number of advantages, that you could do pretty much anything you want, and it's cheap, and it's actually an entirely respectable scientific tool, and it's played actually, I think, quite a major part in the development of quantum theory, for instance. So, let's start off with the simplest universe that you can have, which is a one-dimensional universe. Now, what's that like? Well, not an awful lot to it, really. It's like a piece of string. Right? Think of a piece of string stretching as far as the eye can see in both directions. But this is no ordinary string, because this string has a thickness of 0. And things are arranged in this one-dimensional universe in a distinct order, and that order can't be changed. It's like a cube that you can't jump, because if you're going to jump a cube, you've got to move sideways, and there's no sideways movement. You've only got one coordinate in a one-dimensional universe. So there's no sideways movement. And if, say, there's a beautiful girl over there that you fancy, but there's a fat girl, between you and her, there is no way in a one-dimensional universe that you can ever make love to the beautiful girl. Because even if the fat girl didn't fancy you herself and was prepared to move to one side, she couldn't do so because there is no sideways movement in a one-dimensional universe. So, yes? Yes, I know you can't have fat things in a one-dimensional universe. Yeah, but just allow me a little bit of poetic license. Okay, thank you very much. So it's a pretty frustrating universe, this one-dimensional universe, and our mathematician friend here is getting a bit restless. He says, well, this is a pretty crap universe. He says, there's not much to the maths. He says, if you could tell me how far away the beautiful girl is from the fat girl, and how far away the fat girl is from you, I can tell you how to work out how far away you are from the beautiful girl. But that's about all there is to it. So it's pretty boring, really. So why did you add another dimension? Then we could have a two-dimensional universe, and that'd be much better. So I say, okay, well, how do I do that? So it says, well, it's quite simple. You just find another coordinate. You've got one coordinate, haven't you? You just find another coordinate that's at right angles to it. So I say to myself, okay, well, there we are. I've got this one coordinate. I want a right angle to that. Let's take it across there like that. Okay, so now I add a second dimension, and now I've got a two-dimensional universe, which is flat. It's like a huge sheet of paper stretching as far as the eye can see. And this is much better than the one-dimensional universe, because now, of course, you can go round the fat girl and make love to the beautiful girl at last. Just bear in mind, of course, that she's only paper thin. And the mathematician friend here is getting really quite excited. He said, oh, yeah, this is much better than another rubbish universe we had. He said, I've had to square a few numbers, and I've set up a series with a couple of terms in it. He says, and now you can move around in any direction, 360 degrees, he says. You can go straight there, or you can go around in a circle, and I can tell you how much further it is to go around the circle than to go straight there. And you can have squares, you can have circles, you can have rhombuses, you've got angles, so you can have trigonometry, and he's chuntering away there, you know. I mean, I've seen an element with this marvellous mathematics that he's working out. And meanwhile, I'm looking down on this amazing new two-dimensional universe that I've just created. And I look over there and I see there's some movement. So I go over and see, goodness, look, there's somebody down there. There's a life form living in 2 dimensions. So what do you do under these circumstances? You say, I come in peace, or something like that. But he can't hear me. In fact, he doesn't know I'm there. In fact, he doesn't even know that there's a there for me to be. Because he just lives in 2 dimensions. You know, you can look forwards and sideways to the right, and you can turn around and look behind him. Now up here, I'm outside his universe. I don't exist, as far as he's concerned. So I'm a bit frustrated here, because I quite like to communicate with this guy, to, you know, find out what life is like in a 2-dimensional universe. And there are actually a couple of novels that have been written about life in imaginary 2-dimensional universes. So I give him a prod, but of course all that does is scare the shit out of him. Where the hell did that come from? So then I have a brainwave. I'll get him on the phone. So I pick up the phone. Yeah, what is it this time? How the hell should I know how you connect a 2-dimensional phone to a 3-dimensional phone? You know, this is a thought experiment. It's a thought experiment, okay? Sheesh. So I pick up the phone, and he answers it. And I say, hello, and he says, hi. And I say, I've got a birthday present for you. And he says, oh, that's nice. He says, oh, it's not actually my birthday, but never mind. Where's this birthday present? So I say, well, I've just put it down there just a couple of inches above your head. So he says, oh, thank you very much, that's really nice. So where is it? You just put it a couple of inches what? So I say, just put it a couple of inches above your head. Just lift your head up, and you'll be able to see it quite easily. He says, what are you talking about? What's this above? He says, what's this up? You some kind of crank? I say, no, it's just there above. God, get off the phone! He bangs the phone down. Because, of course, he has no idea what I'm talking about. He doesn't have above. He doesn't have up. He just lives in 3 dimensions. He goes left, right, forwards, and backwards. But up and above just don't exist for him. So it looks as though he's not going to get his birthday present. Which is probably just as well, because I'm not sure how easy he'd find it to digest 3-dimensional chocolate biscuits. Anyway, our mathematician friend here said, well, I pretty much worked out all the maths for this universe. It's quite good fun, he said. But I'll tell you how you can make it even better. Why don't you add another dimension? So we'd have got 3 dimensions, then we could really party. So I say, okay, well, how do I do that? Well, he says it's quite easy. He says you do exactly the same as you did before. Find another coordinate that's at right angles to the ones that you've already got. So I say, okay, well, I've got this one here. And then I did that one there like that. I want one at right angle. Well, if I go up and down, that's because that's at right angles to that one, and it's at right angles to that one. So now I add my 3rd dimension, and now I've got space. A mathematician friend, he says, well, this is fantastic. He says, this is even more interesting than the last one he did. He said, I had to cube a few numbers, and I've added another term to my series. He says, but now you can have football. He says, you can kick a ball. He says, and I can tell you how to calculate the trajectory. He says, you can have planets going around suns. You can have moons going around planets. He says, you can have cones. You can have spheres. You can have cubes. You can have cylinders. You can have your beer in a can. Now, and he's chuntering on about his wonderful mathematics. And the phone rings. And so I pick up the phone, and the voice says, hi, I got a birthday present for you. So I say, okay, well, that's nice. Thank you very much. I say, it's not actually my birthday, but never mind. Well, where's this present? Well, the voice says, well, I've just put it down there a couple of inches scrinson your head. Okay? So I say, oh, thank you very much. That's really, really nice. So where is it? A couple of inches what? A couple of inches scrinson your head. Just move your head scrinson a bit, and you'll be able to see it. I said, what are you talking about? What's this scrinson? You keep saying scrinson. I said, I don't know what you're talking about. He says, it's just a couple of inches scrinson your head. So I said, what do you mean? Look, mate, I'm not interested in double glazing. I don't want any solar panels, and I'm perfectly happy with my electricity supply, so bugger off. And I banged down the phone. I don't know who the hell that was, but I'm not buying anything from him. I don't know what that was all about. Anyway, our mathematician friend says, well, I've pretty much sewn up all the maths of this 3-dimensional universe. He says, it's pretty good, but I'll tell you how you can make it even better. Why don't you add another dimension, then you'd have 4-dimensional universe, which would be really fantastic. So I say, okay, how do I do that? Well, he says it's quite simple. You do the same as you did last time. He said, just find another coordinate that's at right angles to the 3 that you've already got. So I say, okay, well, I started off with this one here, and then I added that one, didn't I? Across there, and then I went up and down. so I need another coordinate. If I go over there, that's at right. Is it right? It's not right. It's got to be at right angles to all three. I said, yeah. Come on, get on with it. He said, I've already practically worked out all the maths for this four-dimensional universe. I've had to take the fourth power of a few numbers, and I've added another term to this series. He says, and I can tell you how to work out the volume of the side of a hypercube. So come on, get on. I want to see what this universe is like. So I say, okay, all right. Just give me a moment. It's not as easy as it looks. So I'm trying to find, and of course I can't find a fourth dimension, a fourth coordinate, because if you live in 3 dimensions, there's no way that you can find a fourth coordinate that'll give you 4 dimensions. Why not? Don't know. There's a sort of barrier there, isn't there? A sort of block, and the block is in here. He's not in the mathematics, because he's already way ahead of you. He's worked out all the maths of the fourth-dimensional universe, but we just simply can't find it. And Scrinson, of course, a couple of inches scrinson your head means a couple of inches away from your head in the fourth dimension, in the same way that when you were talking to our two-dimensional friend over there, a couple of inches above your head means a couple of inches away from his head in the third dimension, which he doesn't have, doesn't exist for him. So, oh, not you again. What is it this time? How do you spell Scrinson? Look, don't write it down. It's not a real word. I just made it up, okay? Oh. So to come to the question that this guy asked, what sort of power would this guy, on the phone to me from the fourth dimension, what sort of power would he have over me? Well, you think about the power that I would have over that two-dimensional guy over there, because I could poke him and I could prod him. He doesn't know I'm there. He can't see me. I could get a standing knife and slice him in two. He couldn't do anything about it. He wouldn't even know what's happening. So I guess we just have to hope that our friend on the phone there doesn't have a four-dimensional standing knife. Next question. Is there actually intelligent life going on in the fourth dimension? Well, I suppose there's 2 answers to that. The first is, yeah, what a daft idea. Well, perhaps a more considered answer is, shouldn't think so, but we can't be sure. There's no way of finding out. Science can't help, because of course science is based on human observation. And if there were stuff going on in the fourth dimension, humans couldn't observe it. So, that's just one reason why people who tell you that science has all the answers are wrong.